Well, hello everyone. I'm going to create an introduction to two videos that you can watch regarding the compensation plan. One was recorded on Thursday evening, and it's the beginning section of the compensation plan, which includes some preamble about it, the lower levels of direct, the senior, the executive, and then some very important definitions. In the second video, we will show the leadership area starting at silver all the way to Royal Diamond, with examples and strategies of what you need to understand about this wonderful compensation plan and how to use it to your benefit. So enjoy, and we will see you next Thursday on the Business 101 call to take your questions. Let's do a quick review of last week's homework, the topic on creating your story in your previous 101 call. Under the program section, an example was listed, followed by the step listed on the project section. It was start creating your story based on the issue that you have. So start creating your story, what happened, how you found out about Nikken, what you saw, what you decided to do, why you followed, followed by why you want them involved. And in the project list, there was a video and a write-up on how to start creating your story. And so that was to review that going. I received some stories that were written. The key to a story is to make your prospect really excited, more interested, and more in agreement with the idea of becoming involved and joining you because your story validates the idea of getting involved and joining you. And again, the key to this, and this is really important, is the fact that it's not about you, it's about them. So, one of the things that I saw very early on, if you didn't have the issue that the speaker had, you were lost. You really have to pay attention and really get into, well, what's going on with this person that I'm talking to? What are they dealing with? What do they want to handle? How do we get into that kind of an issue? And then your story validates the whole idea. It's a perfect way to set the stage of, how you were approached, what happened, what your issue was. And again, I'll say this a million times, if you're trying to make money with this business, then you need people that are also wanting to make money because that's how the collaboration works. It's you're on the same page, you're working on the same ideas, and you move forward together. And you're going to see that when we talk about the compensation plan tonight. Now, as a side note, I've used my story to attract attention under certain circumstances with great success, especially when someone asks me, "What do you do?" See, that's the key question, and that's where you want to get. You get into social chit chat. You're talking, how are you doing? What do you? And, people say, well, what do you do? You can't sell somebody to do this business. They have to do it because they want to do it. Your job is to provide the information so that they can think with it. Say, oh, that's how this works. Oh, that's what I can do. Because like anything in life and any job, any career, thing that you got to do something to get the result. So the big ahas usually come with, learning what to do to make it work. Anyway, we'll get it. Let's get into the compensation plan. Now, I'm not sure if we can do the whole thing in one go. If we can't do it, we'll stop at the 6 o'clock hour because there's another event that, or maybe a little bit before, because there's something else with Nikken going on at 6 that you possibly might want to get to. What I'll do on the weekend is I will create whatever number of videos that have to be done, and then I will send out the whole document that I created for this as your manual that you can go along and work on, and hopefully we'll get everything done. But let's go. We'll see. It's see how much we can get done tonight. And I may not talk about everything specific that you, but then go back and read the document to see what the document says because it's really spelt out in detail. So we have a great compensation plan. However, most don't take the time to understand how the plan benefits you and actually directs you to build your business. And this is so important. I can't say. In 1999, I wrote the book Vested Interest: Making Network Marketing Work for You. Some of you have read the book, and on the main idea was it was the need to qualify that drove the business. Now, this is a very important point. It was the need to qualify. And although a very simple idea, it was not completely understood by those who tried to build the business that followed. And what I mean by the need to qualify, and later on we are going to take a look at the entire plan, you're going to see that in order to earn a check, a bonus, an incentive, one needs to meet the qualifications set by the company that define what needs to be done, or in simple terms, what one needs to qualify in order to get the prize. And that's the way the whole system works. Now, we're used to it in a different way in the corporate world, in other areas where you put in time, you put in the time, you get paid, but still it's kind of the same thing. You got to do something to get the prize. Now, in looking at the business activities and results, qualifying means completing the necessary activities that meet the requirements of the plan, thereby making one qualified to earn or receive. So this is from the back office policies and procedures. Through its generous compensation plan, Nikken offers different ways to earn. Your success and the income you earn from your Nikken business is determined by the number of customers, the amount that each customer purchases, and your effectiveness in building a sales organization that includes other consultants. I like to use the word distributors who help you expand your customer base as they build their own sales organizations. So that statement, you want to take that and put it up on the board in front of you where you work. That's the key to this whole business. Is it's all in that one statement. It's really brilliantly written, but it's this lot of, you want to build an organization of other distributors to expand your customer base and build your own and their sales organizations. The compensation plan is available to Nikken consultants and international consultants. Okay. So this first key point to note is that all activities consist of amounts. They're numbers. And this is important in terms of planning, strategies, building, monitoring to reach your goal. So it's numbers of customers, it's amount of the size of the order, and it's the number in your organization. So in planning and strategy, what a business understands is numbers. That's the language that it speaks. So you got to kind of get familiar with it to make it work. And it's not that hard. And here's the other thing. If there's any words or terms or anything you don't understand, at the end of it, we've got a glossary of terms at the end of this document. So look them up. It's also in the back office. And you'll want to keep this document. You want to print this document so you can use it in your when you're communicating and want to show somebody else how it works. Well, you'll see how this unfolds as we go. So let's look at the compensation plan step by step and make sure we understand what it means. Okay. So first of all, we got the retail sales profit. So it should be fairly easy. As a distributor, you order products directly from Nikken at the wholesale price. Your retail profit is the difference between the retail and the wholesale price. I think that's pretty easy because in the back office on your price sheets, you have those kind of columns of figures of retail price, wholesale price, customer price. So in the example in here, it's you make $12.50 as the retail price, the wholesale price $1,000, you make $250. I think that's pretty easy. Then it works out to be about 20% of the retail price. Now, the personal commissional volume, this is where people start getting a little bit wacky because of now we have a new term called CV. And the personal commissional volume, as you advance up the ranks, you will qualify for progressively larger personal commission volume rebates. Boy, that's wordy, ranging from 10 to 20% of the CV amount of the products you order from Nikken at wholesale prices, depending on your rank. Okay, we're going to see in the ranks how this folds out, but essentially, and I want to go silver up because silver is where it's 20%. Below silver is that's the apprenticeship. That's where you're a neophyte there. You're learning this business. So yeah, you're going to make some commissions, but that's not going to do very much for you down the road. We want to get into the decent money and the big money. That's the whole object of this game, and it's easy to do. You get to silver, and it's 20% of the CV. And again, PVs for rank, CVs for pay. So that's all you have to remember. PVs for rank, CVs for pay. Personal group commissional volume, PGCV, again, the same thing. If you've got a downline of direct seniors or executives underneath you, you're going to make an override, same area based on the difference of your rank and theirs. So if you're at 20 and an exec's at 10, you make 10. If you're at 20 and then you got a senior at 5, you make 15. And if you're at a silver above and getting 20 and you've got a direct, then the difference there is 20%. So again, you're going to part of the homework that you would get that I'll give you in this is for you to practice, creating examples. Just a quick side story. When I first got involved with the business back in 1990, I had an office inside of Nikken, and people were getting their checks, and there wasn't a computer system at the time, and they were, similar system where they got a percentage. They were paid as a direct senior executive, or they had a downline, and they couldn't figure out how they would call in saying, "Well, how did I earn this money? How did I get paid? Why is it this amount?" Well, there was no customer service back then either. And so I decided to volunteer, and I said, "I'll take the calls." And it was a blessing in disguise because I didn't know what I was getting into, but at the same time, I also didn't understand the benefit. But I got to sit down with lots of distributors, go over their paychecks, see how they got paid, and then with a piece of paper, pencil, and a calculator, figure out how it worked. And that gave me a tremendous view on understanding the compensation plan. Therefore, the solution to anybody is just create examples. Create example of you're as a silver and you got a new senior and they do $1,000 worth of product and they make their 5%. What do you make? You make the 15%. You see that kind of a thing. But if you don't put it in writing, you don't do the exercise and you kind of just think about it, sometimes doesn't work. So that's what you do. Leadership bonus. This powerful bonus is based on a percentage of the personal group commission volumes of the silver or above consultants in your organization. Okay, this is a pretty simple thing. You've seen in pictures where you go silver, then you build a silver underneath you. When that silver breaks away from your personal group, they were an executive or they were a senior, etc. Now they become a silver. We use the term breakaway. So they break away from your personal group. Now they're in your organizational group. And from that point on, you can earn 6% of their organization volume and the people that they bring in. And as you know from if you've looked at the compensation plan, this can go down 6 generations, and that's where Royal Diamond is. We'll give examples of that as we move through this. 99% of my income came from here. And in the sense of because I understood the benefit of this plan and I understood how to build it. I was taught how to build it. I'm going to do the same for you here. And this is where basically you come up with this idea. You jumped into Nikken. You like what it does. And what you have to understand is you're not the only one. Other people are going to do the same thing. But what we don't know is where they are. So that's our job is to go find them. And there's ways that we go find them. But if you push out in enough ways, you'll find enough people. And so phase one, and you've heard me say this, is you learning everything there is to know about it. And then phase two is you helping others to learn it. If you look at corporate America, you got a CEO and he's in charge of maybe, some of them have 40, 50, 60,000 employees. So there's one guy at the top, but he has a business and an organization. Same thing. You're building your business, your organization, the incentives. Okay, we have the We Accelerate, and we all know what the We Accelerate is. This is where, as a director, senior, or executive, when you sponsor a new distributor, you can earn 20% of the new distributor's CV. That's their personal CV, not personal group volume, for the first 4 calendar months starting when they sign up, regardless of whether or not your distributor rank advances. So again, this is for the newbies. So you're building your business, you recruit somebody, this is a great incentive for them to get new distributors. My advice is sponsor as many people as you can and then figure out who's going to go to work. And then once you find somebody that goes to work, you've seen what I've said about that. I'll teach you more on doing that because you then want to create a team. Once you have a team going, then you're freed up to go create another team, and that's an important issue. Some were lucky and they just went wide, 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 and they found go-getters. But that, in my opinion, is a very tough way to go today because of the nature of our society, the internet, social media, all that sort of stuff. You really want to focus on a more concentrated, build a team concept, make it solid, put money in their pocket, and grow it from there. So in this particular, but you can read all about the incentives. They're not that difficult. There are no volume requirements for sponsors similar to retail bonuses. Matching bonus, this is a new bonus. I don't have much to say about this. It's simple. You go silver or gold, and then the following month, whatever you do in PV and PGPV, they'll match whatever you earn in that, they'll match it at a rate of 50%. So this is on your personal rebates and your override bonuses. So again, if you're building to silver, okay, you're going to have a team of people. You know what you need to do there. I'll give you the details momentarily. You know what you need to do there with the volume, and the more people you have helping you to get there, the easier it is. And then once you reach silver, going into the next month, you're going to have some other people, and you should have a second or a third leg ready to go to get you to gold. And I'm going to show you how to do that. It's not very difficult. And again, this is where this matching bonus will come in. So you go silver in the first month, then the second month becomes your matching bonus month. And you can calculate your personal rebate and override bonus that you've earned, and then they'll pay you a 50% matching bonus on however they're going to pay that. They haven't really said how they're going to do that. I looked over the web page, but it's going to be a different cycle. Maybe once it's done, verified, they send you the bonus. Okay. All distributors in North America who reach silver or gold 2026 are eligible for the matching bonus. Okay. Team ambassador again. This is one of these activities that you know what the qualifications are. You accumulate the minimum of 5,000 personal points in the course of a month or the course of the year. Accumulate 60,000 PGPV, and that's for one winner. For two winners, you need 100,000. At least 30% of that PGPV volume must be from new and existing customers, and incentive winners must be listed on the distributorship account. Okay, so that's the legalese. Just read the details. It's not that hard. If you're building the business, that you should be able to get this done automatically. And then there's some other benefits from doing this. Lifestyle bonus. I've been getting the lifestyle bonus for 35 years. It starts at gold. And it's an ongoing. As a gold, you can earn up to 500. As a platinum, you can earn up to 1,000. As a diamond, you get 1,500 Royal Diamond over to 2,000. And this is just extra money that Nikken will give you for building the business. If you build the business, then they'll pay you. If you don't build the business, they won't pay you. You don't worry about it. But again, it's just it's kind of like a nice savings account. It's kind of like it's extra, it's gratis. I would take a look at it, especially once you reach gold and as you build into the future. Okay. The path to financial wellness. Now, success with Nikken takes dedication, but the criteria for moving up the organization are straightforward. The levels you attain in Nikken are based on your personal point volume, your personal group point volume, and the success of the consultants in your downline. Your personal point volume and personal group point volume are measured in A. An A is used to calculate the qualifications in the comp plan. Additionally, each point has a corresponding commission volume. So that's where you've got the difference of your PV. Points is for rank, CV is for pay. And the logic here is really simple. As we've grown in this business over the last 35 years and 50 years, inflation has taken over and cost of everything has gone up. And to make it a universal system through all the markets in Latin America, in Canada, and the United States, the point system worked very well. So what you really want to understand is work on the CV numbers. And again, we'll talk about the importance of this. Rank's okay, but the reason and the purpose for rank is the benefits that the rank offers, and we're going to talk about that. And, there's two schools of thought. Well, get to the rank as quickly as possible and build into the rank. I like the other way is build the business so that when you get to the rank, you're paid at the rank and you feel validated for it or you're in excess of it because uh, I saw too many people get to the rank and not get paid and then didn't hang around. Okay, we'll get into another story about that. Okay, so here we go. Direct consult, how to qualify. Read, understand, accept, call it policy, Nikken policies and procedures, and the compensation plan. And again, I think this is where everybody's let down. They don't read the compensation plan. They don't understand the compensation plan. There are too many words they don't understand. The nomenclature is all messed up and they put that document down and that's the end of it. Yet that's the plan. That's the plan we all work on, and that's the plan that you go from step to step to step. So you start at direct to the next level, which would be senior, and then once you're at senior, then it's go to executive. Once you're executive, goes to silver. So that's all I did. I started at the bottom and I worked my way right to the top, and I just followed the plan and on the basis of understanding what had to be done at each step. And then also the benefit of experience was okay, if you also look forward while you're working on the current step to the next step, your strategies and plans can do things that will walk you right into it. And we'll discuss that. Now, the benefits of direct are pretty simple. You can order products directly from the company at consultant prices and you make a 20% retail profit. You can also earn the We Accelerate bonus. You don't have downline at this point in time, so you don't get any overrides and you do not need to do the $100 minimum. Okay, that's only regarding overrides and rebates. All right, so and here it is. The direct does not need to have a $100 minimum purchase or order to receive retail profits or the We Accelerate bonus. The $100 minimum purchase only applies to rebates and overrides. So obviously, if you're going to make a retail sale, that is going to qualify you, for or depending on it, you won't get an override or a rebate until that happens, and that starts when you get the senior. So this is the first step for either a new distributor or a wholesale buyer. I'm going to introduce a new term to you, which is not described in the compensation plan, but many people become distributors so they can get the best price. And you'd call them a wholesale buyer. And again, my advice to you is you sign up anybody any which way you can. I go was my train of thought. And that was based on what we learned last week of the fact of a distributor has four avenues of moving product, whereas the consumer is usually only one. So, and because we haven't, this is something you'll run into, but again, it's a tool. So you're moving towards pushing somebody to or enlightening somebody so they can become a distributor and say, no, it's not what I want to do, and but I like your product and it's kind of expensive. Well, why don't we do this? You sign them up as a distributor, they get to buy it at wholesale prices, and that fulfills and helps you with your qualification, which is another concept we haven't discussed really, but you've got to keep in mind, again, the need to qualify is the key to making this business work. And if you have lots of retail, lots of wholesale, and you're out building the business, then there's going to be no problem with you meeting your qualifications as you see them as they appear. Okay, once this happens, then you want to help this person get started as you are learning. Follow what you learned in the previous two 101 presentations. And here's the link if you want to look at them. You probably already noted where they are uh, because they got to do the same thing you got to do. I mean, they got to have a good business plan. They got to understand it. They got to know what to say. They got to understand the compensation plan. So again, remember what your job really is once you're in to learn everything there is, and then once you bring somebody else to teach them. And that's how it grows. Two get two, get two, get two, get two, get two, and there's your organization. There's Royal Diamond. It's really that simple. It's the penny doubled idea. Now, I would set the first target to go silver for anybody. So if somebody came to me and said, "Okay, I want to do this," and I find out that they need to make an extra, say, $2,000 a month as their example, and They really like what this is, and we shake hands, so to speak, and let's go. I do their admin skill with them. We sit down, we go over their plan, we write out their stuff. I teach them what to say. We practice that. I have them call me up and make a presentation. I have them call me up and invite me to a meeting. I have them call me up and do all kinds of things. And again, this is what I learned in corporate America, and it works so well here. And what I've observed, if you don't know what to do or say, it's really hard to build this business. And you get people get scared, they get intimidated, they get nervous. And you really don't need to go that route. You just take a little bit of time and get trained, get educated, understand what you got to do, practice, and so on and so forth. And the plan's all well laid out, and the objective, if followed, will help you to get what you want. As you go through each of the ranks, you will see the idea of what to do to make it easier. So again, you got the person, they say they want to go silver. All right, that's good. We map it out. You saw the video on going silver. You know how to draw that out, that you saw that in the ideal scene. You got the picture of it. You show that picture to the new person. You focus their attention. We got to find three people. You heard the story about Jerry. You heard the story about Howard. You're going to hear many, many stories. They're all built on the same basis because how does it work when somebody else does something? So if somebody else doesn't do something, then it doesn't work. So it's obvious that this is what has to, this is the missing link, so to speak, as to where there's a letdown. If you're not making money at this, then there's not nobody doing anything to make money for you. And that's how it works, because what you do, buying product doesn't make you money, it just reduces your cost. So obviously you need to have signed up as a direct first. That's in the policies or procedures. You be a direct distributor and you only until you place an order and qualify as a senior with 500 in volume. So a lot of people will start at 500. And again, I started with 3,500. And the reason why I started at 3,500 was I understood what the plan was. I understood what my job was. I understood what I was trying to accomplish. And I was in a situation where I didn't have any money. I borrowed my mother-in-law's credit card to do this. But I figured if I'm going to go out and get other people to join and they're going to buy the same thing I bought, which at that point was a $500 demo kit, I had seven of them. I've got it in my trunk. They're going to get it right there, and the rest is history. And I did that 2 months in a row, very successfully and again, I also understood that I had other businesses where I had inventory. And that
Right.
inventory was utilized to fulfill a sales order. Nikken does this all the time. They buy product, it sits in their warehouse so that when you as a distributor makes an order, they can deliver to you right away. So I took on the same idea. So just think about that. It's not I'm not trying to load you up with a bunch of product or have you load somebody up with a bunch of product. You got to understand the circumstances with the people that you're dealing with, but this is a business because you're dealing in commerce, and the only way you make it work is when product is bought or sold. And that's based on what the company says, not what I say, but also what I say. Now, if you purchase the 500 points required to sell the 500 points, either would qualify for your senior rank, okay, bingo bango, monthly qualifications, 100 PPV, and here are the benefits. Again, you want to know these inside out, backwards and forwards so that you can explain them. So this is how you get paid on this area. But we're not going to spend time here. This, you'll be able to look at this and go over this and review this. And then you move into the executive category. Here it's 100 ppv, 1500 pgbv in 1 month. And now, just to clean up a confusion, the 100 and the 1500 can be married. In other words, if you did 1500 PGV as a retail sale, then you're qualified. You don't have to do an additional 100. It's because the 1500 is also personal, it's also personal group. So you would qualify. Again, the way that you practice this is to sit down there and say, okay, I got Bob, he's going to sign up and he's going to buy a waterfall, or he's going to buy a King sleep system, or he's going to buy something, and then figure out what the cost is and figure out what your commission is and figure out what the override is. And that's what I did on in 1990 when the calls came in. I would ask them, well, what did you do? And I'd find out from them what they did, and then I broke it down, and it gave me all kinds of examples, so I understood. All right, what do you need to make a money? Well, you need to make $1,500 a month. Well, I instantaneously knew what they had to do, and that you saw in the orders part because part of building this business is to direct the traffic for other people, because if they don't know this, and if they did know it, then they'd do it. That's the the simplicity of it. If they really understood how to do it, they go and do it because the benefits of this thing are unbelievable. Once you know and understand how to drive the car, so to speak. And anyway, you have a month to build this. And again, if you've got a good launch strategy, this should be an easy task to get to the 1500. Monthly qualification for executive is 100 ppv, and then the benefits are 20% retail profits, 10% personal CV rebate, override of 10%, 5% on senior, 10% on direct. So again, do the homework, do the examples so that you feel comfortable in explaining it. Whether you need to or not, that's a different story. The whole purpose of this course ability to help them reach their goal. As an example, I started with 3,500 in product and the idea of using the product for either resale or demo and resale. None of was for personal use. I got 7 demo packs and I sold the 7 in 30 days to the people that I sponsored and then did it again. So I knew what my job was and I was hungry. Okay, it was so I had to put a roof over, keep a roof over my families and feed them, etc. And so I was willing to work. I got up in the morning, I went out and did what I was told to do. What was I told to do? Well, I was told to talk to anybody I could talk to, create that list, and so on and so forth, and get people excited. I created this story. My story, as you've read and will read what my story was, that opened the door. And then I found people that also needed to make five, six, seven, eight, 10, $12,000 a month. And we created agreement. We created, we worked, we talked, we strategized. We would stay up drinking coffee. How are we going to do this? Where are we going to have meetings? We do rallies. All kinds of collaboration took place in order to figure out how we got where we got to. As a business, I used the product to create more business anytime I could. I recently installed a waterfall in a working organization that I'm at right now. So for me, so I could have the water and people could experience it. They've now purchased 2 more units. A third's about to be bought shortly, and they're buying all the filter. And that's because I put in a waterfall system. The sleep systems, I used the sleep systems, did the same thing and attracted attention. Now, if from an entrepreneurial standpoint, and this is very important, what an entrepreneur is looking for is opportunity that he can sink his teeth in and make it go and get a reward for doing that. I really want you to think about that because that's really who you want to attract here. You want to attract people that don't want to work for somebody else. They want their own gig and they'll do what they can learn how to do. And of course, people don't know how to do this. So this becomes an important thing. And this is a business. Nikken invests in products all the time so that when we as distributors sell the product, it's ready to be shipped. We don't need to do this. It's simply an option, an idea to help you build and expand your business. Moving on from here are the leadership bonuses. And here is where one really builds an organization